value-based goal settings. Everybody wants to set up goals in life. Everybody wants to be happy. They want to achieve happiness, and they want to um, fulfill their desires. The trouble with goals and achieving the goals is that a lot of people go about setting up a state of being as opposed to a goal. For example, one of the number one goals people want to have is to be happy. Well, being happy, it's a state of being, it's not a goal. So you can be happy without setting up goals. So if you're about to set up your goals for being happy, then you're going to face yourself with great disappointment. And we don't want you to be disappointed. And another trouble that people have when setting up goals is they don't know what they value, and they don't know what motivates them. So, well, we know that fear motivates us, and we know that we're motivated to go work hard, make a good paycheck, and bring home the bacon. So we put food on a table and have a roof over our shoulders. That's pretty much standard. But setting up goals and achieving goals, it's a bit more complex than just bringing home the bacon and being happy, because you can bring home the bacon and not be happy, or you can be happy without bringing home the bacon. But I don't want to give anybody the wrong idea because we gotta go to work and bring home the bacon and pay the bills. It's just that's how life goes. So it's something we need to do. But something that's very important is we need to figure out what we value, other than the obvious goals, like we have to go to work. My goal is to wake up 6 o'clock in the morning, so I don't get end up being late at work. That's an obvious goal. But what about other goals? What do I want to do with my life outside of work? What do I want to do in my life in a lunch hour? What do I want to do in my life in a weekend, and so on? These are important questions to have. Why? Because there's more to life than just going to work and coming back home, and then watching TV and watching news TV, and then being upset and being depressed over all of the I don't want to use those words, the things that happen lately. So it's good to watch TV. It's good to keep up with the news and what's going on in the world. But getting hooked up on them too much and getting depressed over it, it doesn't help you. What is not very well known about goals is that the acronym SMART. It's a smart way to use the acronym SMART when setting up goals. What does it mean? SMART stands for specific. You want your goals to be specific. You want them to be meaningful, and they need to mean something to you. You want them to be achievable. You want to set up a goal that you're going to travel to Antarctica and never going to get there, never have the means to get there. That's not quite achievable. Or changing the weather where you don't like the weather because it's raining outside and you want to, that's not achievable. You want your goal to be realistic, and you want them to be time frame. So you want your goals to be SMART: specific, meaningful, achievable, realistic, time frame. And again, being happy, it's not the goal. Being happy, it's a state of being, right? So you can achieve happiness and you can be happy during the time you go about achieving your goals. So goal setting is a process. value-based goal setting goes through a process that helps you identify personal values that are going to take you to committed action. Oftentimes we set up goals that are not aligned with our values. And more often than that, we don't know what our values are. And if you are to ask me, well, not ask me, because I can articulate, but oftentimes when I talk to my Romanian compatriots, and I ask them how they feel, how their life went, how whatever, something, they just go good. It was good, it felt good, I liked it good, it was good, it felt good. There's no other way besides good. And then I keep asking, give me other words besides good. It is difficult for them to describe something with other words other than good. So that's a mini goal that my Romanian compatriots could set up to find out terminologies in Romanian, because in English there's plenty, to find the terminologies that they can use in when describing how they felt, how they like it, how it went, other than good. It's such a big umbrella, this words. But what the problem with that, the reason for that is that we don't know what we appreciate, what we like, what we value. So when we begin to know what we value, for example, it's a short list of personal values. Many of us think that, of course, but it's good to clarify your values. This is a big exercise done in psychotherapy, clarifying personal values. It's very important to do that, because once you understand your values, you can easier set up those goals to be achievable and to be measurable and to be meaningful to you. You set up goals just because something needs to be done to please somebody else. That goal is not very meaningful to you, and you're not gonna journey through it with happiness, right? But when you become aware of what do you value, what is important to you. And the interesting thing that I researched, I typing the word value in a search bar, and what do you think came back first and foremost? Properties values, values as in financial values. And I'm not very happy about that. But what am I going to do about it? The fact of the matter is that when you hear the word values, most of people think of a financial a value, a dollar a sign attributed to that value, which that's not it. Personal values are about what's important to you, what do you like to do, what is important to you, what makes your heart skip a bit, right? What puts a smile on your face? What book would you go to read about? What topic would you read about and never get bored? What brings you harmony, and all that? So here's a short list of personal values that can help you identify areas. Well, this is not an all-inclusive list. It's just a short list that can help you get you going towards setting up smart goals, goals that are achievable, measurable, meaningful, and time frame. So, for example, you might want to set up a goal that's related to compassion. Maybe you want to have more compassion in my life. Maybe you want to associate with people that are more compassionate. So you can, set a goal around compassion, or inner harmony, or kindness. Oh, we can never be kind enough. There's always room for more kindness and more compassion in life. But maybe there are goals you want to work on friendship. Maybe you've lost touch with some friends, and maybe you want to set up a small or large or whichever size or goal you want to set up on friendship or security and respect, self-respect, spirituality, stability, balance, and all that. These are good areas to identify what do you value, what is important to you. Some people distinguish between religion and spirituality, and some people don't. That's all right. What what is it? How is it for you? So when we go about setting goals based on values, it's very important to take small steps. Just small steps are very, very important. And another another misleader to people when they go about setting up goals, they think that goal setting are related to work and financial situation and maybe health. That's not that's not so. There are, how many life domains do I have in here that we can set up goals for? And you can set up a big goal that, and then a subset of goals that are part of the bigger goal, um, in line with each of these domain. And it's not surprising that people do not set up goals for their environment, for example. Well, some do, but most people don't. Or they don't set up goals for um, leisure. They go on vacation, they book tickets, they book rooms, they book trips to go on vacation, but they don't set a goal for that vacation. Personal growth is a very important life domain that not enough people are setting up goals for their personal growth. And once we understand that we have more life domains and that values are important, we're gonna go over the values, life domains, and values and life domains and values, and the list is it's bigger. Then we're going to go through a bunch of steps to set up the goals that are achievable. So first we're going to choose a life domain, right? Well, we go over the personal values, we kind of have an idea of what our personal values are. And if we don't, I have a beautiful a course set up with that, or you can work one-on-one with me, either or. And then you choose a life domain, so just one domain at a time, and you look at what do you want to change. Then you look at the importance of that change. Then you connect that change with your values. You fill out this homework table. You keep in mind that you want to have your goals smart, specific, meaningful, achievable, realistic, time frame, and then you're going to set value based goals and then fill out this long term and a short term subset of the long term, and then you're going to evaluate what you've set up. So, Randy, what goals have you just set up just now?
Um, uh, wasn't setting any goals, but let me think. Um,
So maybe your goal was to be curious of be curious of what I'm talking. What's the science behind setting up a goal that is value based? That's
yeah,
a
that sounds
that's a mini goal.
good.
Hmm. So how did that go for you?
Um, I I've always had I'm not goal directed sometimes, but sometimes I am. Um, it's very strange because there's some things I'm very goal oriented on, and other things I can't. It's hard for me to set a goal on. It's interesting. So yeah,
Okay, so let's not talk about you because it's not easy to talk about yourself
well, you
op-
asked me what goals I set.
openly. That's true, but we you can look at setting up goals as it relates for other clients. For example, you work
I'll
with.
listen. I'll listen.
Well, yeah, but now it's your turn. Now,
Well, I'm talking, and you're telling me not to talk about what you asked me a question about. So I don't know what to say.
okay, then go ahead and talk about how you set up goals.
Oh no, I'm not going to do that. That's the last thing in the world I'm going to talk about. Uh, uh, I think that it's very interesting that why people, such as myself and others, what prevents us, it's easy on paper to do goals, and it's easy to, for an objective person to think of a goal for somebody to have, but why do we flounder at it? What happens when we can't do it, when we can't reach it? What keeps it from happening? And one of the things that I think that hypnosis has taught me, and my goal to learn hypnosis these last 2 years, has been that there are oftentimes we we have to avoid self-shaming ourselves when we can't reach a goal, because sometimes we'll be looking to do a goal and not reach it, and that's because there may be some subconscious shaming ourselves when we can't reach a goal, desire to not reach that goal. And that sounds contradictory, but the subconscious can have a very interesting and strange and different way to protect ourselves. So that if a person has a goal to exercise 30 minutes a day, for instance, and they do it for 2 3 days, and then it's over, they quit. Are they lazy? Are they not motivated? Did they not do the smart thing? Well, you didn't put a time frame on it. You didn't. It's too measurable. It didn't measure it. It was just 30 minutes. It should be more measurable, like the distance. What went wrong? Where did it go wrong? And often, not everyone, but oftentimes, if somebody is struggling with that, I want to eat better. I want to eat healthier. That kind of thing. Any kind of thing. Then, if that flounders.
all right, Randy's internet is not quite stable. It gets choppy. The weather is a bit choppy. Randy, are you back?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. Uh, so anyway, yeah, I don't understand because I put my internet on cable. Anyway, so I would wonder if there was some type of uh, internal struggle, and hypnosis can help determine that. And there are some sessions. I was just reading a script of one where the hypnotist gets the subject to go back and talk to their part of their subconscious that is struggling with something. And the question that the hypnotist wanted to know was, what was the positive reason that the subconscious has for keeping this behavior? Because subconscious is always protective, always trying to protect ourselves, protect us. So, what is the protective function of that action? And that's what kind of interests me. Not to avoid self blame and avoid shaming yourself and avoid self blaming in terms of not being able to achieve any kind of goal, really. Want to get up early in the morning, earlier in the morning, and not able to do that, there may be some other factors involved. So that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's definitely when that happens. There is a science called motivation and goal achieving science. There's a science behind it, and there's a lot of exercises to go over. You can have an exercise each week for at least 1 year, so at least 52 exercises, if not more. Um, but when that happens, we go about setting up a goal and we have difficulty achieving a goal, is that that goal goes against our values and we are have zero motivation to go achieve the goal, and we don't value what it is to be achieved. And a lot of people run into this situation, and that's why it's very important to learn that goals, you can just, well, you can, a lot of people do. It's important to go over your values because they change, and they should change as we age, as we continue to grow, as we expand. Values change. Not all of them, but a lot of them change, and that's good, that's not bad. And once we go over the values, then we figure out what motivates us. Then we go and set up the goals. Other than the obvious goals, because the obvious goals, they're easy to figure out. But the kind of goals that we have difficulties setting up and achieving are the goals where we're not motivated, and we're not motivated because they go against our values. So clarifying and reprioritizing our values, again, it's a very good exercise, and it's a well spent time to go over this. It's a positive psychology approach. We go over through some questions that direct your thinking towards, in a way to you haven't been thinking about it this way, and because of that, it will open up ideas and avenues for you, and you're just going to go, oh. So when we go, there's a lot of insights, and these are good moments. We want to have more of these moments in our life. Values, motivations, and then goals. Or set up the goals and then find your motivation behind it, and then find the values that are aligned with that motivation. So it's not a one-way street, and obviously this is always circular. There is more to goals than just, okay, I want to be happy. Well, be happy, it's a state of being. It's not, if you set up a goal to be happy, you that's a sure recipe for disappointment. But if you want to set up a goal to, whatever the goal is, you want to expand your personal growth. You want to spend more time with friends. You want to work on friendship life domain. You want to work on personal growth life domain. Then you're going to be happy as you work at it, as you work towards achieving the goals that you set up in the particular life domain. So happiness is a state of being. Successful, well, you can be successful at anything you do. Being successful doesn't mean you need to make six figures income. A lot of people are not even interested to work to make six figures income. Why? Because it requires a certain lifestyle, it requires a certain work ethic, and that work comes with a lot of responsibility, and sometimes people are not there. Maybe they're raising a family, maybe they want to travel, they have different values. So being successful, if for some type of people, being successful means making six-figure income, that's what it means for them, good, because they value that. For other people, success is defined by other things. So yes, when we have difficulties with a goal and we have a lot of obstacles achieving the goal, definitely we'll go to the hypnotherapist, me or you. Um, and because that is going to allow for the subconscious to reveal to us what are we misaligned with, what value are we not aligned with, what are we not motivated by, and then what other difficulties might we have with maybe physical health, emotional health, mental health, um, or maybe some blockages that carry over from prior events, earlier life, or anything like that. So, hypnosis it's a powerhouse in helping identify and eliminate those obstacles. Would you agree, Randy?
Oh yeah, it's a powerhouse. It's very effective and it's very fast and very, for lack of a better word, I want to say enjoyable, but that's not really what I mean. It's a pleasant experience for most people. Not for everyone. Some people um, don't respond to it. It's not that pleasant an experience. But yeah, to find out, it's a matter of self learning and learning about, because what we consciously value may not be what our unconscious values. Example, um, an unconscious. Some people that grow up in combative families where there's a lot of arguments and um, domestic violence issues and concerns and domestic violence happening, um, they will have their value is, I want to avoid doing that. I want to grow up in a family, and I've heard this so many times. I want to be in a relationship that's nonviolent because my parents fought all the time, and my dad went to jail, and my mother went to jail, and um, cops are always at our house. My value is to have a peaceful relationship. Yet they end up with very very relationships that are full of conflict. Well, why is that? It's because, and I'm just generalizing. This isn't for everybody. This isn't every single person. But in those kind of instances, their conscious values may conflict with subconscious value. The subconscious value that the only way to know love is if somebody uh, is emotional with me in a very negative way. That's the way that I know they care, because otherwise there can't be, it was different for different people, but otherwise they may not be able to be trustworthy. They may not be able to be um, acceptable. To my In my subconscious, love means somebody loves me so much they'll hit me to stop me from saying something. That's how love is expressed. Now, if you ask a person, well, is that what love is? Well, of course not. But subconsciously, if somebody grows up in an environment where that happens, then they may have subconsciously the value that that's what love is conflictual. Love is. I had one of my clients grew up in a very dysfunctional family, and she was and is one of the brightest, most intelligent, enjoyable, friendly, wonderful person. I she could meet anybody she wanted as a partner. It was easily done. She was just a very attractive personality and enjoyable and very easygoing. Inevitably, she got hooked up with the most difficult, um, needy people she could have ever, and she wanted a happy, normal life. That's what she wanted, but she didn't have that growing up. But she would she'd meet a guy, and a month later have him move in with her, and in one instance, he ended up smoking dope all day long, watching TV, living off of her, and they fought constantly. Well, part of her values were in conflict with subconsciously what she thought love and all that meant. So anyway, that's a long story to say that it's good to know consciously what our values are, and it's also good to know if our subconscious has the same value. And that doesn't, I mean, it doesn't. Usually that becomes a problem, in my experience, when a person is unhappy and miserable and can't seem to find satisfaction in day-to-day life. There's kind of a common, not for everyone, I'm generalizing, but generally speaking. Would you agree with that, Carmen?
Oh, definitely, of course, I agree with that. There's a lot of truth to it, and it's true that um, there is the values. There is a conflict within values. Um, there is a conflict between motivation and values, and clarifying values. It's a big. It's very important, although it's not a big project. It's quite pleasant to go over clarifying values and see what's more important to us, because we will find out that some things that we thought were important to us actually turn out to be not as important as others, and that's a very, very good exercise to go over with. Because in your example, although she valued being with someone, I don't think she valued being taken advantage of after a while. So a lot of people go about, oh, I want to have a spouse, or I have to have a boyfriend or a husband or a wife or some significant other, but they're not conscious of their values, and don't. And even if we need to know what our values are, and then to see if the other person's natural responses are aligned with our values, because you can have someone behave a little differently than what their habitual ways are, but you want someone that instinctually, well, 80% instinctually aligns with your values. Because if they don't, it's always going to be a struggle. That the relationship is going to be a constant struggle. And why do we want relationship? Do we want relationship to have struggles with, or do we want relationships to enhance our happy, to enhance our well-being, to bring us more happiness and more joy? So what's more important, having the relationship or feeling valued and appreciated and having a balanced relationship? So we need to ask ourselves that. Randy?
Yeah, I think it's really good to know ourselves. I mean, who said it? Socrates? Know thyself?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Mm-hmm. I remember who said that. It was Socrates. And the unexamined life is not worth living.
Something like that. Yes.
Yeah, that's not exactly.
An unexamined life. Okay, I'm gonna take it back. I'm gonna have to check it out.
Something like. Anyway, That's an old. So to know yourself and to know what what your values are and what you say that you value and what your actions suggest that you value. My client I was discussing, she consciously thought her values was to be happy, have a normal, quote unquote, normal relationship. But her actions suggested that relationships full of conflict, full of arguments, daily arguments, full of finger pointing and blaming. That's what part of her, and it wasn't that she valued it, her subconscious, it was that she was used to it. And that's what she understood relationships to be, and her subconscious did not want that to change because the unknowable is very dangerous, especially in relationships. So it's the known, the subconscious, and for a lot of people, everyone's different, but for a lot of people, the subconscious is going to want what is called homeostasis. So just things to be the same and to be steady, even if that means conflict or unhappiness or misery. Some of my other clients it would be hard as a therapist to deal with them because uh, they would have a lot and still be miserable, a lot more than what I would have, for instance, and still be very unhappy. And my tiny little mind would be like, well, gee, you live in a great house, and but it turns out that they're that kind of, and many times, male or female, their subconscious, their values that they had were in conflict with each other. And that's the other thing, the last thing I'll say about too is that one of the biggest reasons for burnout at work and burnout in uh, maybe organizations people are involved in, temples, uh, churches, temples, synagogues, other community things. One of the reasons people get burnt out like that's because there's a value conflict. And if we are not living our values and we're asked to go against our values, what we understand them to be, we're going to be very unhappy and very conflicted. I found out in lots of years of working, well, I was the most unhappy when I was asked to do something. I don't mean something illegal or something unethical, but it was something I felt was kind of unethical. And ethics is a big gray area, so people could argue it, but I certainly did. And if I had to live that value, I'll give you an example that I learned way early on in my career. For example, maybe somebody can relate to this. I started working very years ago. I worked in the psychiatric hospital part time and on the weekends, and I was so miserable. I could use the money, but it was so misery, and I wondered why am I just? This is not hard work. Um, Other people seem to do it. Why? And I found out that the reason is because the way people were being talked to and treated, and the way they were being treated by the system was just a terrible value conflict with. I did not believe that a person could get a pill and be happy, but that's the way the medical world worked back then. It still does to a degree. So that conflict made me miserable, and I had to take responsibility for that and say, I'm putting myself in a situation where I have lots of value conflicts. What is going on with that? What is my purpose doing that? So anyway, just an example of how that manifested in real life.
Yeah, that's true, and this is bringing out the burnout. That's a very good topic, because a lot of us find ourselves with a job burnout, and that ethics is important, values are important. And we can say that we cannot afford to have values take over our life and do only what we value, only what we like, only what's important for us. And sometimes we need to compromise some of our values with some of the things, like going to work and have a job and earn a living, even if we don't completely like that job. But there are solutions to every problems, and of course there are problems to every solutions, depending who you're talking to, right? So just like you, Randy, you were with that job for a while, weren't very happy with it, but then you moved on. You took a little bit of time and eventually moved on, and you're happy with the job you have now. And so it can happen with everybody. But having a job and being all burned out and walking into despair that this is all that's gonna be, and just carrying the weight of the world on your shoulder because you're not valued at work, and doesn't matter how good you do, they don't see it. Um, Maybe it's time to move on. May not too quickly. Well, it is something that needs to be assessed on individual level, or something needs to be done. Um, but what too many people let themselves be burned out either by their job or by a significant other, whether significant other it's an intimate partner or is someone in their family, their parents or grandparents or sometimes children. They can be very mean with their parents, and that's not good. So values are very important to get to know your values. Once you know your values, it'll be easier to set up goals. And once you know your values, it'll be easier to figure out what motivates you. Because fear is not the only thing that motivates us. There's more to life than fear. So it's very healthy to figure that out and identify that. Randy?
Yeah, I think that's the Course in Miracles. I think says that I think maybe I may be wrong about this, but one of the motivations, the only yeah, I believe if I heard it right, the Course in Miracles says two things motivate us: fear and love. And fear is the bad one, but obviously. So yeah, um, one of the um, uh, great values that one of the things that I like to value, and it's hard, but I do because it goes against my nature sometimes. Because my dealings with the world is to try and put everything in little boxes, and one of the things that hypnosis has really helped me regain is an understanding that everyone's different. So while we can talk about generalities on these um, webcasts and talk in general terms, in essence, everyone is very different, and everyone has different conflicts and different things going on with them. And I really, um, the mental health and behavioral health world tends not to think like that, tends to think in terms of categories and diagnoses. And that was always one of the, where I got my therapy training from years ago. I went there for 5 years off and on, every few months, many hours, up to about 300 hours altogether training. And in all that training, and plus I had another 200 hours of phone supervision from the same place. So it was about 500 hours altogether of training and supervision. Not once, well, one time they would use the word schizophrenia. They would use the label schizophrenia. And somebody was schizophrenic. That was the only time they ever, in all those years, I ever heard a diagnosis. Everyone was different. And they didn't like diagnoses. They didn't like saying, and I told that to one of my colleagues once. I said, "Oh, I'm not sure. I'm kind of anti-diagnosis and diagnoses," and she was just flabbergasted. She was like, uh, "That's Randy. That's isn't that kind of unethical? How do you live? How can you that? I don't see how you can ethically practice social work if you can't diagnose. If you don't believe in diagnosis, why do you know what to do?" And it was just freaked her out. It was really interesting, but really, uh, really interesting that there was such a different perspective. But anyway, the value was that people, and I remember so appreciating that value. And as the years went on, I kind of lost it. Hypnosis sort of brought that back. So when you go to good hypnotists like Carmen or anybody that's well trained and well versed in it, um, they they will treat you very individually and very. The value of the profession is that people are everyone's different, and I think that's cool too. Not to make this a commercial on hypnosis. It's just it's one of the things that is I think one of the things that helped me get back in touch with what I value. That's my
That's true, Randy. That hypnosis has helped me tremendously, and because hypnosis has helped me so much, that's the reason I became a hypnotist. So I wouldn't have it any other way. Well, maybe a little bit different, but not a whole lot different. And yes, every person is unique. They have their own individual values. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that are not aware that they are allowed to have their own individual values, and it's a bit sad. Um, I don't want to go too deep into it, but again, clarifying your values, it's a very important exercise to go over. It takes a little bit of time. We can go over one or two or three or 15 different exercises. They're all very pleasant, they're all illuminating, and the beauty about these exercises is that you do this exercise one, but then these questions are going to pop up in your mind later, and you're going to keep thinking about it, and then you're going to have more light bulbs, more oh, look at that. So when we have these moments of and these are really moments of great insight, and these are moments that problems are solved and obstacles are eliminated. So we want to have as many ahas during the day as possible. Not measure them which aha is better than which aha. Just have as many as possible throughout the day and enjoy them and be happy. So there it is. There's a goal we can set up to have as many ahas throughout the day and be happy while having them. So let's hear back from other people that have set up these goals to have as many ahas and how that went for them next week and in the weeks to come. Yes?
yeah, I ain't drawn to. I'm going to a couple of webinars to my place of employment. The on One's on high blood pressure and one's on high cholesterol. My blood pressure's been a little elevated. Uh, my cholesterol was real elevated. The bad cholesterol was real elevated last time I had it checked, and this was kind of unusual. So I decided to go to this, and they're big into goals. And here's a goal, and here's what I'm going to setting. How that goal will work for you next week. And it's so funny because there's a part of me is like, I don't know if I want to do a goal. I don't know if I want to change. And I'm trying to get in touch with understanding, how I'm at. And we're not black and white. People are with the word ambivalent is the key word in motivational talk, is that a lot of us are on the fence about stuff. We want it, but we don't want it. I want to be thinner, but I want to eat what I want to eat. I want to have my cholesterol down, but I want to eat this too, and I don't want to change my lifestyle. Da 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 da. And I want my blood pressure down. I want to do hypnosis to get my blood pressure down. But then I don't want to spend 20 minutes a day doing it. But I don't want to have on and on and on. Very ambivalent, and that is so true of most of us. And um, it's important that we understand where some of that ambivalence comes from, if not all of it.
Yes, but right there, as you went through all of this ambivalence, there were a lot of aha moments going through it. It's like, oh, I get it. I want this, but not this, but then this don't match. So just going and observing all of this, start with observing, and you're gonna get as far as you want to get, because nobody's gonna make you achieve the goals you don't want to achieve. Well, at work, it's a different situation altogether. You are paid to accomplish a few tasks, so that's your job. So other than that, if there is a goal you don't want to achieve, you're not going to achieve it. If there is a goal you want to achieve but you have a few difficulties with it, we can help with that. So wanting to reduce cholesterol but not changing your diet, I don't know how that's gonna work. Wanting to lose a few pounds but don't change anything, don't change your diet, don't change your workout routine, I don't know how that's gonna work. Wanting to increase your personal the balance in your personal relationship, but then you continue to have the significant other treat you like a doormat. I don't know how that's gonna happen. So, what are your goals? What do you value? What motivates you? There's going to be conflict in within some of them. But let's identify what the conflict are, what the obstacles are, what keeps you demotivated, or what conflicts in within your motivations are, and then sky's the limit. So let's set and achieve those goals. Start small and then grow bigger and change as much as you want and accomplish as much as you want. All right, so this was fun tonight. Hopefully it was enlightening for our friends, and we're going to come back next week to talk about maybe motivations, values, motivations, goals again, or something that I want to talk on this lives is shamanism. There's very little known about shamanism and how today's psychotherapy and personal growth and all of that evolved from the shamanism, because hypnosis evolved from the shamanism, from shamanic journey, and that's something I'm passionate about. So maybe we want to talk about that. Maybe bring a guest and see who's available and who wants to come over and talk about shamanism. And if not, then we can cover motivation next time and get some people's feedback and questions and their difficulties and their ambivalence about wanting to achieve things but doing nothing about it. So guess what? If you do the same things over and over again, you are not going to get different results. You're not. So if you're happy with the results you have and you have zero, you need to set up zero goals, then have a good day, have a good life. maybe you'll be interested in a shamanism topics that are coming up. But if you have zero goals to set up, then good for you. Yay. All right, Randy?
Okay, we'll see everybody next week. See y'all next week.
All right.